Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer joins me this week to discuss coal outputs, beneficiation and emergency coal. Welcome, Martin.
Hi, Session.
Now, a coal analyst is predicting a massive drop in coal production due to low investments.
You know, coal and South Africa are synonymous. These lights are on because the coal that's been burnt. And we burn it all night and it is not used. So it would be fantastic if we had batteries, you know, to collect all that energy. Because coal is coming under tremendous pressure worldwide. And we are so deeply involved in it that we can't just reject coal. We're going to have to work with coal for a long time. And the person who knows coal better than anybody is Xavier Prevost. I mean, ever since I mentioned the word coal, he's been here. You know, he's a Bolivian, but he's been operating in South Africa and analyzing coal situation. And now he reported to the Fossil Fuel Foundation this week that the production of coal is declining. Now, when that happens, you have a lot of repercussions. Because if coal demand is there, but coal supply is not there, the price lifts. And the moment the price lifts, it starts pushing coal further out of the way. What do you replace it with? Well, people are looking at renewable energy, they're looking at wind energy, they were looking at sun energy. But can you do it fast enough? I mean, when you're getting 80% of your energy from coal, and now you've got to replace it with wind and sun and other means of doing it, how do you play catch up, you know, to really move? So coal, I'm sure in 40 years we'll still be using 40% coal. Will it be there, or will we have to import it? You know, this is all the sort of stories that are coming up now, which could affect our economy quite seriously. So I think his warning there of potential energy poverty is quite stark, using the word energy poverty. You know, we've always had a lot of energy. We've built our coal-fired power stations very quickly, too quickly in fact, but we used to have very cheap energy. That was one of the things that set our industry going like crazy. It set it on fire. We could put any new industry in because the energy price was so low. Now it's just the opposite. And it's got an uncertainty about it, which is not good.
And raw coal beneficiation is needed to increase coal quality.
You know, and they've always worried about the quality of our coal. You know, I mean, I used to have foreigners come in here and they said, this isn't coal, this is rock. You know, how can you have such a hard coal? And you've got to process it. So we've always had this processing challenge with our coal. Now we've got it even more because people are going back to old coal workings. They're going back to old pillar minings and remining the pillar. They're getting lower quality coal, which is adding to this coal problem. Now, you can lift the quality. And as you know, the Fossil Fuel Foundation was told this week in no uncertain terms by the CSR, Johan de Korte, you know, there's a lot of processes that you can use, the crushing and you know, what he calls beneficiation, lifting the value of the coal through a whole lot of various ways of working the coal that is of low quality. He's saying, look, we need that more and more now, because if we have got this decline in the supply, you must try and make sure that your high ash coal is changed so that you can use it in various situations. We burn most of our coal. I mean, what a fantastic product. You dig it out, you burn it, you need a lot more. So it's been a good business. But we also liquefy the coal for Sasol and all the other things. We gasify the coal. So we're doing quite a lot with coal, and you need to, as he says, make the coal appropriate. And there are ways of doing this through processing, which we call beneficiation.
And lastly, Eskom has gotten the green lights to buy 4 million tons of emergency coal to address the serious shortfall.
Now look at this. We haven't even been buying it at the right rate. You know, you have a state-owned enterprise called Eskom who can't even make sure that the supplies are at the right level. You know, at this point where I suppose they think, well, the economy's down, everybody's fast asleep at the moment politically, they've ended up with their stockpiles just falling. Last year, this time, we had an average of 40 days of coal stockpiled. You know, some of the places gone down to 10 days, and others are in the 30s, so they've got to really lift this up again. So they've got permission from Treasury to go out there and buy coal, 16 million tons of coal. And this follows a whole lot of short-term buying. But that still isn't enough. They're having to buy a lot of diesel way above what the regulator said they could buy. I mean, I think it's double what the regulator said they could buy in diesel. Diesel's, well, it has been very expensive. Hopefully it'll come down a bit. But it is the most expensive way of generating electricity, and probably the dirtiest way possible. But we've got all these plants down in Cape Town, emergency plants, that if we feel the lights are going to go off during a peak, you suddenly burn this diesel to make sure that you can create more electricity from the diesel, just to cover you in the peak. We've also got these wonderful water schemes. What you do is you store a lot of water in a dam overnight. So you use that power that's not being used at the night to pump your water over a mountaintop, as we do at the Drakensberg, into the Sterkfontein Dam. And then as you're getting a peak demand, you release this water and it generates hydropower. And that's the best way of doing it, better than diesel. But of course, that wasn't sufficient, so they've had to come in with the diesel as well. And it just shows you how badly we've managed, a state-owned enterprise. Shocking. This used to be an example of how to manage an enterprise. We used to have the lowest cost electricity in the world. They try to keep it at that level. I think they went overboard in trying to keep it at the lowest cost, which probably befuddled things. Now, all of a sudden, I mean, we are so deeply in debt with Eskom. We are so disrupted because the whole world is saying, hey, you're using too much coal here. Get in with the wind and the renewable energy. And people are saying, oh, no, that's far too expensive. Now, that's not the truth anymore. Since the Chinese have got involved in photovoltaic cells, the price has come down. And just about every time you read a new report, the price of renewables has come down. So maybe not in South African terms yet, but I think it is the case. I mean, if you listen to the professors and everything, it's already fallen way below coal. But certainly in other bigger centers like America, I mean, they're showing, wow, the renewable energy is far cheaper. So there's massive disruption we're going to have to live with. So it's going to need good management. There is better management at Eskom at the moment, but it's going to have to be really slick to cope, to balance, this disruption. We're going to have the coal. Probably we're going to be using less and less of it, and then we're going to have to introduce the renewable energy and at the same time balance all the costs, because you don't want to create such an expensive electricity that you can't have industry feeding off that. And then industry itself is looking at this and saying, wow, no, hey, we can do it cheaper ourselves. So suddenly you see a factory with a whole lot of panels on the roof, you get homes with a whole lot of panel on the roof. So people start buying less from Eskom, which puts their costs up even further. So it's going to be quite a tricky balancing act.
Thanks for speaking with us.
It's a great pleasure, Sashni.
That's it for today. Join us again next week for more news analysis on the local and global mining industries.